Welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot, or, of course, welcome for the first time if you're just finding your way here. In today's reading, we're doing something very special by reaching back into your roots and asking your ancestors to send forward their most important message they want you to know right now at this precise moment. We're going to clear the static and hear exactly what they need you to do to move forward through your path with grace. So, let's see who is standing behind you today. Here are your 3 pile choices for this reading. Over here on the left for pile 1, your leader is the Magic Zone. In the middle for pile 2, your leader is Trip the Light Fantastic. And on the right for pile 3, your leader is Never a Crowd on the Leading Edge. Pause here if you need a moment to decide, but when you're ready, your timestamp is waiting in the description. I'll see you in your reading. Hello there, pile number 1. Welcome today to your ancestor message. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to most the Magic Zone for a pile leader with the number 43, and the subtitle says The Exhilaration of Discombobulation, which is also a very, very fun word. And it almost makes me think that perhaps recently you've been going through a lot of turmoil or a lot of chaos or just maybe a lot of changes and curveballs have been thrown your way. At least that's the first intuitive sense I'm getting off of your pile leader. So with that being said, though, let us look at your other oracle cards to piece together more about, well, number 1, who this ancestor is, but also number 2, what is it they want to say to you today. So calling on ancestor, or perhaps ancestors plural for pile 1. What do you want them to know? Who are you? For their highest best good, thank you. What do they need to hear most right now? Okay, the first card from the Pastoral Tarot, we have the Page of Pentacles, and this is all about exploring something new regarding career, finances, stability, job, home life, etc. Everything that has to do with earthly materials, pile 1. So that could, number 1, represent this ancestor. Perhaps they come off as very youthful. That's one quality of the Page of Pentacles, being the youngest of the court in tarot. But also they might have been an earth sign, probably based on this card, feminine energy, but doesn't necessarily have to be, or no matter their gender, they could have just leaned more into feminine energy. And likely someone who maybe explored a lot with their job in their life. Maybe they kind of bounced between jobs. They never really had anything super consistent, I guess is one way to put it, because pages are very exploratory. They're always learning. They're always doing something new. Also very possible that this ancestor of yours was someone who not just explored different careers and jobs, but maybe they were entrepreneurial in the way that they tended to try a bunch of different business ventures if it was more on that end of things. So very cool. Could have also been a gardener, or maybe they had orchards, because I'm seeing apple trees in the background too. Maybe you associate them with apples if you knew them in this particular life. And then from the Gravity Falls Oracle, we have the Voice Altering Serum with Potent, Temporary, and Problematic. And the second card is Puppet Twins. Approximation tells the story that you want. So this ancestor could have also been a twin. Very fitting with a Gravity Falls deck, right, if you've seen that show before. But as I always say when I use pop culture decks, I'll kind of explain what it means for your reading, even if you haven't seen the pop culture in question, right? So yes, could have been twins, or a twin, I should say, maybe boy and girl twin, possibly because of that particular representation. Maybe something with their voice was kind of off or different or very characteristic or distinct, hence the voice altering serum card. Maybe they kind of had a rasp to it, or they talked in a very hoarse way, or there was something about it maybe too, not just the quality of their voice, but the way that they said things perhaps was very different from other people, either through the way that, I'm feeling like for some of you this ancestor was kind of blunt, whereas most people maybe kind of dance around things and they maybe say it in a roundabout way. This ancestor was a little bit more, in your face, here's the truth, here's how it's going, that kind of, I don't know. Once again, it makes me just think of earthly energy. It's very in your face. I feel like Taurus is the strongest astrological sign that I'm hearing too, but I guess it could also mean Virgo and Capricorn too. But yeah, and it seems like they might be telling you something about either to explore your own career or finances or stability. Something maybe has been going on with that recently, hence why maybe you've been feeling discombobulated. It's related to that area of your life. And then 2, I'm feeling already a bit of an assurance that because of the voice altering serum card, that this problem is temporary. Okay. Yes, it's potent. Yes, it's probably problematic. It's causing maybe some issues and chaos and stress. But at the same time, pile 1, they're saying it's not a forever thing if that's what you've been fearing. So let's keep going with your other cards here. We have the Lantern Oracle next. Ancestor, anything else you want to say with this last Oracle deck? We have... Speaking of discombobulation, this energy reminds me a lot of your magic zone, pile leader. And it says, number 7, distorted perceptions. Reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. So once again, that makes me think there's an element here of you not seeing the situation 100% clearly, not through a fault of your own, per se, pile 1, but that the ancestors are just saying the way that you're perceiving this problem or this situation is not quite what it seems, which is... makes me think of, like, I don't know, you might get the Moon card in your tarot spread today. That's the sort of energy I'm feeling if you're familiar with that card from tarot. It's very illusory. It's very things not being 100% as they appear, which is also very similar to with, and here's some of the pop culture references I said I would explain, because the voice altering serum is a reference to something that made someone's voice obviously sound different within Gravity Falls. And then same thing with Puppet Twins. It was... they were like versions of something, but obviously by being puppets, they weren't the real thing. So once again, I don't know. I feel like the discombobulation too might be that illusion as well. Like, it's just not what it seems. So if you've recently had something that came up at work or related to your home stability or your finances, your career, etc., or some of you could even be like a business of some sort, just like this ancestor I think might have had some, and it frightened you, I think your ancestor is just saying, well, hold on a minute before you freak out. Hold on a minute before you stress out and go a million different chaotic directions. Because they're like, I want to tell you something about this. I want to tell you the truth about this. So it's kind of a truth revelation kind of reading from your ancestor today. Speaking of truth, we have very fittingly the Knight of Swords, which is someone who takes action with the truth or to communicate, to send a message. Lots of air energy. Someone who is probably talkative too. I wonder if this ancestor of yours was also very talkative, which despite maybe their earth energy here with the Page of Pentacles makes me think maybe they were an air sign as well. You know, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, or they had like a lot of air earth placements in their chart. Maybe you heard something on the wind, excuse the air pun, about your job or this financial thing or business related thing. And so it got you a bit of like in a panic. It got you in that discombobulation energy. And that once again makes me think of voice altering serum, because like you heard something, like someone said something with their voice, and Puppet Twins too makes me think like maybe they were just puppeting something that they didn't 100% know was true or not, but then you heard it and you were like, oh crap, like, and you perhaps took it at face value, or you've been kind of weighing over it and it's been bothering you, pile 1. So your ancestor is saying, okay, well, hold up, wait a minute, because here's the thing with the Knight of Swords. Yes, sometimes his energy is very good in terms of getting things done very quickly. He's the fastest knight in tarot, so it's a lot of energy of quick speed, but at the same time, sometimes he's a little bit too impulsive, especially when it comes to when he says things or when messages are distributed. So I think this person, it could also represent maybe the person you heard it from, this Knight of Swords, like someone younger, maybe air energy, or I guess knights are kind of, I don't know, I always kind of see them as like late 20s to maybe 40s in terms of age. They said something and maybe they spoke a little bit too fast, just puppeting what someone else was saying. You know, it wasn't necessarily like their own voice or the truth, and it distorted your perception of something. Okay, so let's keep going. Lots of just from that one card. And then we have the Seven of Wands, and that is someone defending oneself, persevering through things, especially when it comes to feeling outnumbered. Maybe you felt as if, because this is recent past energy now, you felt as if you were kind of surrounded, or maybe you thought, you know, people were kind of out to get you. That's maybe like the message that came across with this chaotic related resource job thing. And all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, I feel like I have to defend myself now. Or maybe they said something too that, you felt like you had to defend yourself from what this other person was saying. Maybe it was more kind of an attack in some way for some of you, which would make total sense with the Seven of Wands energy, because that's the I'm surrounded and I'm kind of fighting off everything by myself card. Okay, so that might also resonate with some of you with that sort of interpretation of the energy. And true, I wonder, some of you, I wonder if you heard there were like layoffs coming. Like, that's a really good, tangible example. It might not resonate with all of you, but that's one thing I can say is, like, just as I said, an example of, like, you heard layoffs were coming, you heard, like, this thing was going on, or, like, the company was going to shut down, or, like, this bad thing was going to occur. And so your ancestors saying, okay, like, just take the information from the source that you got it from and really weigh the source. Does this person actually have the number one qualifications, number two, the facts or evidence, etc., or the logic in order to prove that what they said was true? Or, I mean, sometimes pile one, we can also get kind of, we'll hear things, and it's not necessarily that someone said something to us, but we kind of get caught in the cycle in our own head. Like, we hear something and then we jump to a conclusion, and then we're waiting in our mind there in this anxious energy, and it's like, okay, but did we actually fact check that thing first? Are we thinking through it logically? Because that's another energy of, like, the Knight of Swords being an air card. He's about logic, okay? So keep these things in mind. We'll keep going. And then the heart of the matter is the Three of Wands. Okay, so probably related to future planning. This is the card of I have made plans and now I want to enact on them. And literally she's climbing a ladder. So that makes me once again think of career, like climbing a ladder, or climbing the career ladder is a common phrase. And so I think, especially be the heart of the matter card, for a lot of you, it was surrounding this, like, your plans for the future and your ability to climb the ladder at work or to climb up in the world. And so it scared you because you had these plans and then you were like, well, wait a minute, was that a dumb idea to have those plans? Or will these plans even work out? Because now this seeming monkey wrench or curveball that I heard about, even if it hasn't been 100% verified yet, like, it might get in the way of my plans. So that's why I think that's the heart of the energy, or heart of the matter energy card for your reading today, is because that's really what you're worried about, is your plans for the future. But yes, like I said, your ancestors are already saying, hey, don't sweat it. I think, yeah, we didn't get the moon quite yet. I'm curious if we will. I did say we might get that earlier. And then we have the Three of Swords, yep, causing pain. You're afraid of pain in the future here. That's literally most of what that card represents, and or heartbreak sometimes. And then we have the Page of Swords reversed, okay? Which is like the Page of Pentacles, but air now instead of earth. So we start on a Knight of Swords, we end on the Page of Swords reversed. And so that means to me, pile one, that you... Let me think about that for a moment. So we have the pain, and then the Page of Swords reversed is... yeah, this feeling of, like, we can't explore our plans, or we can't explore, like, the logical direction we thought we could go in. But that doesn't mean 100% that that's the reality, pile one. Because, like I said, your ancestors saying to me intuitively, like, in channeling here, it's not going to go the way that they think it will. And I think that Page of Swords reversed can also be a reminder to think back to where you got that information from, especially if it was a person, pile one, because court cards are usually people in tarot too. And instead of seeing them as this valiant knight of truth, you might want to see them more as like the Page of Swords reversed, in that they were just kind of talking around and they were just mentioning things, and they weren't really thinking about the effects of what they said in terms of worrying other people. That's a very quintessential Page of Swords reversed energy as a person, in terms of like just blabbing and blabbing, and they're not really saying anything logical. They're not really providing any evidence or facts, because, the air there energy is in the negative, okay, in terms of the elemental influence on what they were doing and what they were saying. And so, yeah, whatever source you had, wherever you got the information, I guess, so to speak, your ancestor is saying, just consider it like they were just doing Page of Swords reversed this thing. So they were just talking. They weren't being logical. Okay, so I'm going to ask, what's the actual truth then? Because I know if I were sitting in your position, pile one, that's what I would want to know. So ancestor of pile one, what's the actual truth of it, though? Of this thing that they heard about through the grapevine that they were worried about, or someone told them? What's the actual truth of it? We have the Five of Wands, which is usually competition, people butting heads. Oh, I wonder if they said it to you for the reason of trying to intimidate you a little bit, pile one. Especially if it's like layoffs or it's like related to competition at work or business ventures, like I said. Trying to intimidate you, and then, oh, the Six of Swords reversed is like to not move somewhere, to not move on. Whoa, this is twisting a bit. Okay, and then we have the Eight of Wands reversed, which is also like blocked energy. It's like things slowing down rather than speeding up. So the truth of it is, pile one, is there was something about it where if I had to pin it down intuitively, what I'm hearing is the person or the source you got this information from, they were trying to ignite competition or to be competitive so that, like, oh, especially with that Three of Wands. So for some of you, it was so that you wouldn't move forward or would go slower on a certain plan of yours. Hence the Three of Wands. Like I said before, that's the card of planning for the future and taking action on, especially that particular version. It's like climbing a ladder. And it's also very possible, too, that it was to, like, slow you down so that you wouldn't move forward somewhere or away. Because that's another thing with the Six of Swords reversed. Sometimes it can mean you're planning to move somewhere and then being delayed or not being able to go forward with that. So, pile one, I don't know. I think this person, if it's a person, they either were trying to, like, tamp down your ability to compete with them. Maybe it was for a promotion, hence why the ladder imagery came up. Like, they want the promotion, and it's like you, like, they know that you're kind of a threat, so they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna say something that'll kind of intimidate them, make them think the competition is a lot more fierce than it actually is, so that it would prevent you from moving forward, and it would slow you down with that Six of Swords reversed, and then the Eight of Wands reversed. So, not necessarily the nicest energy. Your ancestors kind of calling them out on the carpet. That, or if it was information you got and it wasn't necessarily a person, it's still that same, like maybe someone had initially said it in the first place and then it kind of spread around to multiple people in a way of like, no matter what, wherever the original information came from, that was the intention. That's what your ancestor is saying is the truth. Okay. So yeah, just be wary of what you hear through the grapevine. It might not actually be true. And then I think is the final piece of like question, I guess I want to ask your ancestor is like, so that's the truth of the situation. And then, so where's the situation actually going? So that you know what the truth of it is beyond just the reason for why it was originally said or spread through the grapevine. So where's it actually going, ancestor of pile one? Where's it actually going here? Okay, we have the Two of Wands reversed, which is nothing is really planned. Nothing has been planned. Interesting. Something to do also probably with the month of January, because that is Janus in Roman mythology, that particular card. And that is the god of January, hence why it's, well, called January, because his name is Janus, right? January, maybe you heard it in January. And there's that moon. What did I tell you? I was like, I would not be shocked if the moon came out. It's like, wait a dang minute. So we have the Two of Wands reversed, the moon reversed, which is breaking illusions, just like Distorted Perceptions talks about. Apologies for the siren in the background. Hope someone's doing okay. And then we have, okay, the Page of Cups reversed. So what's the actual truth of where it's leading? It's not really going anywhere, pile one. It's an illusion that there have been plans for something. So, like, if you heard there were going to be, say, for example, layoffs, it's not true. There's no plan for that. Someone was just being emotionally immature. And or if you, like, have even just, like, a tiny little bit of proof that this person provided, they're like, oh, no, but I heard this, and there was this meeting, or I overheard this person at their cubicle or their desk, or whatever, or someone in the industry said it. It might also just be that, like, they're interpreting it in, like, an emotionally immature way here with the Page of Cups reversed. Also, too, Page of Cups can mean a surprise. So, reversed, it means there's no surprise coming. Okay, so it's one of a very traditional interpretation of a Page of Cups. So, yeah, really, like, it seems like there's a roller coaster hill coming in front of you, but your ancestor is saying, actually, pile one, it's going to just kind of be business as usual. Someone lied, or someone was trying to intimidate you, or someone was just how do I say this on YouTube? They were just shooting lies around, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it without trying to swear. But anyways, you know what I mean. You probably know what I was going to say. I just can't say it on YouTube. So, yeah. Don't believe it. There's no plans. Break the illusion. There's that moon I talked about. And that, and too, that Page of Cups, it could be that the person that told you has that disordered perception as well. Okay, so that's another thing, too, is that the puppet twins, another pop culture thing I'll kind of explain from that deck, is that technically it was, like, possessed. The puppet things were, like, possessed by a demon at one point within the episode that those showed up in, and that demon is, like, a manipulator. So this person could have also just slightly been trying to manipulate a little bit, just don't let it bother you, okay? Just keep going. Keep your ear out, just don't be afraid. You can listen and you can kind of just see if anything comes forward, but this kind of just seems like a monster in your closet situation that it looks like a monster, but really it's just the shadow of, I don't know, a coat or a vacuum cleaner, to use the metaphor, okay? So really your ancestors reaching out to you today to just take a deep breath, calm down, it's going to be fine. Don't believe everything you hear, okay? And maybe that was, like I said at the very beginning, this ancestor kind of came off as very blunt to me. Maybe they're exactly that type of person that was like that within their lifetime of being blunt and just saying it like it actually is. So maybe that's kind of why this ancestor reached out, I'm feeling, is that they don't really suffer full as gladly when it comes to people just bullcrapping around and saying lies and trying to intimidate you. They don't really appreciate that. Obviously, like, none of your family would or any of your ancestors would, but specifically this ancestor just does not appreciate that. So I think that's specifically why they wanted to reach out to you today, because they're like, nah, just don't listen to that pile one. It's going to be fine, okay? So beautiful. That was your ancestor message for today. I hope that you liked it. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that it helped you, number one. That's my main concern with these readings. You walked away feeling helped in some way. And if so, please like and comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much, too, if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more than just one. Every little bit helps the channel so much, and I'm eternally grateful for all of you. So with that being said, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods sometime soon. Bye, Pile 1. Hi there, Pile number 2. Welcome to your ancestor message, and of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Trip the Light Fantastic as your pile leader with the number 23 and the subtitle Dance with the Universe. So, of course, first intuitive sense, I wonder if this ancestor of yours reaching out to you today was perhaps interested in dance as one of their art forms, but we will see more about this ancestor and their message to you with your other oracle cards. Also, I wonder too, maybe they had a favorite color of red. If you knew this ancestor within this particular lifetime, though of course there are ancestors that do reach out that are from even before when we were born. Sometimes ancient, sometimes modern, so... Speaking of, ancestor of Pile 2 today, could you tell me a little bit more about yourself and or what it is you want to talk to Pile 2 today about? Thank you. What do they need to know most right now? What wisdom would you like to share with them? All right, I'm feeling drawn to this one back here. We have, the deer, the buck specifically. Maybe they were a hunter too. The Nine of Wands, which the Nine of Wands, my friends, often represents a time where we have to be perseverant or determined, especially when you look at this deer. This is in a time of scarcity. There are barely any leaves on the trees. It must be around, say early winter into late winter before the spring grows again. And so by representing scarcity, that's why the deer is a symbol of perseverance, of surviving through hard times. So I think that might be part of why your ancestors reaching out to you today, is perhaps you recently have been going through a really difficult time of scarcity or of worry, things like that. And on top of that, this Nine of Wands can also mean perhaps, your pile leader was red, makes me think of fire, and wands in tarot is the suit of fire. So this ancestor could have been a fire sign if you recognize who they are already, or you're kind of getting a glimpse. And on top of that, they might have lived a life of a lot of scarcity. I'm hearing the Great Depression for some particular reason, probably, because it is related to a time of where there was great scarcity. Either that or in general, they lived through a really hard economic time for much of their life, or maybe they just dealt with poverty a lot throughout it all, like no matter what economic situation was going on worldwide at the time. But yeah, specifically Great Depression did come out, so I wonder if they lived through, say, 1920s, 1930s, etc. That was a very defining time of their life. And so, especially if you have been suffering recently from scarcity and economic troubles, which, relatable, the economy is kind of wicked right now across the entire world at the time I'm recording this. That might be why this particular ancestor is reaching out to you, because they can empathize and they totally know what you were going through. But let's keep going. We'll see more about this person. And oftentimes, people did hunt during that time in the Great Depression, because sometimes that was the only food they could eat. So, only food they could afford was what they could hunt with their own two hands. So, but of course, people have hunted many different times, even outside of economic scarcity. But first up, we have the Shack with hidden secrets, home, and attraction. And as I always say when I use pop culture decks, totally fine if you haven't seen, this is Gravity Falls deck. If you haven't seen it, I'll explain what they mean in terms of your reading. So some of you are like, what the heck is the Shack? But I'll explain it. And then the second one is the Weather Vane, which is on the Shack, funnily enough, right there. The keywords are inquisitive and goes with the flow. So it makes me think of perseverance once again. And even in the pop culture reference of the Shack, this building gets destroyed like time and time and time again, and gets repaired again and again and again, which once again is like perseverance, especially when it comes to family. It's another symbol of family within that particular reference. And the home, maybe recently you've had to have perseverance with your home. Maybe you've had a lot of repairs recently in your home, or problems related to that have been costing you a lot of money, or maybe recently you've been trying to fix up a home for sale and you're having some struggles like affording the fix-ups to get it to the point of selling it. And with inquisitive and goes with the flow. Maybe with inquisitive, I feel like intuitively maybe you've been asking your spirit guides recently, or any spiritual source to help you, and that's why this ancestor is specifically reaching out. I almost wonder if they are a spirit guide for you. Oftentimes ancestors are guides of ours. That's why one of the reasons they were drawn to helping us in the first place, because of that bloodline connection. But you've been asking for answers, you've been asking for help and a sign. And so I wonder, maybe you've been seeing a lot of deer recently too, pile 2, and the color red perhaps, or references to dancing. And then goes with the flow. I mean, I'll say this, I'm hearing they're commending you for the way that you've been dealing with it so far. They really admire your determination and perseverance, speaking of the 9 of Wands, and they really admire the way that you've been handling it, because, like I said, in their lifetime, they dealt with something very similar. And so, I wonder if it's just a whole family line. Like, sometimes you have those personality qualities that pass down through not genetically necessarily, well, I guess sometimes genetically, but, through the nurturing of your line, like say if you did have, I don't know, this might be a grandparent of yours, or maybe a great-grandparent, who lived through the Great Depression. Of course, they learned how to live with scarcity, and therefore they taught their children how to deal with scarcity, and therefore that parent taught you how to deal with scarcity. And so it's like that, I don't know. They're proud of the way that has passed down. Not necessarily that they're happy that you have to deal with scarcity. Like, they're never glad for that, of course. They want you to not have to deal with what they did. But at the same time, I just see a lot of pride with this particular ancestor. I wonder if you take after this particular one a lot. I'm hearing grandmother for a lot of you, but not necessarily. It could also be a grandfather, too. But yeah, it goes with the flow. You've been going with the flow, you've been flying with the curveballs, you've been doing really great despite what life has been throwing at you. So they are saying, number 1, pat yourself on the back. Of course, I think they'll have advice, because you reached out too, but on how to deal with this problem. But let's grab your Lantern Oracle next. Ancestor, anything else you want to say with this last Oracle deck? Maybe they had red hair too. Maybe another reason why red came out along with the, deer in general kind of have that brown color, but that one in particular's kind of got that tawny red shade to them. Maybe they did have red hair. Feel free to tell me down in the comments below. And then we have the card of emotional energy, number 25. Emotions are messengers to be met with appropriate attention, action, and gratitude. I wonder, have you recently been having a sense of like an inkling recently, pile 2, in like a certain direction to go in, because that makes me think of the weather vane too. It's not quite like a compass, but it does, based on the wind, like show you what direction certain things are, or like what direction like the wind is going. And I wonder if maybe you've been feeling a certain motion recently about like something to do, but you didn't follow it yet because you just weren't sure, to help you with this problem of scarcity, or this thing that you've had to be determined with. Because they're telling you with the emotional energy card that there's something in your emotions that you haven't necessarily been following yet that they want you to follow. Okay. Let's see with your tarot cards too. We'll grab those next. So pay attention to your feelings, they're saying, as their first piece of advice. Next up, we have, yes, the Page of Pentacles reversed as the inciting incident card, or the very beginning energy. Yeah, that means sometimes we're lacking, or we feel as if we lack financial or security, job, career-related opportunities, because that is an Earth card. And pages, my friends, often are explorers of things. So a Page of Pentacles being reversed means that we're feeling blocked in our ability to find or explore opportunities regarding our stability and our money and our career. Some of you might be searching for a job right now. That's a really prominent example of how this might have manifested for you. Some of you too, it could be that you have been like looking for opportunities at work, or like, I know some of you, I'm hearing like you've been looking for like a second part-time thing, or like a side gig on the side in order to make ends meet, but like you haven't been finding much success with that yet, hence the scarcity of the Nine of Wands here. And then we have deer again, although I think these are technically reindeer. They're not like regular white-tailed deer. But there's that symbol again. We have deer, reindeer specifically. But keep an eye out for that pile too. Deer. Okay, and then we have the Nine of Pentacles reversed, which is very similar. I apologize, it's going to be a bit repetitive, but you've been putting the work in. That's what the Nine of Pentacles reversed means. However, when it's in that reversed negative energy, it means in the recent past position that we feel like we've been blocked in manifesting the abundance that we are looking for based on the effort that we put in. Because that's the sad energy of the Nine of Pentacles reversed is, the metaphor I like to use is a gumball machine. You put the quarter in, you get the gumball out, but when it's blocked like that, it's you've been putting the quarter in, but there's no gumball coming out. So no wonder why you've been reaching out, pile 2. You're like, how the heck am I going to get through this problem? Like, what am I going to do? Then we have the Six of Swords, which can be related to moving. So some of you, remember I said earlier, maybe you're trying to sell a certain place, but you've been lacking the time or the struggling with the financial ability to fix it up to sell it, or maybe to, maybe it's not so much on that end. Maybe it's you're trying to find a place to move to, but the struggle is related to, number one, like affording a new place, or it could also be, say you are looking for a job, it's less about your home and it's more about your career. That can be why that's the heart of the matter energy. You're trying to move on. You're trying to make progress. You're trying to physically go somewhere, but it's been so blocked because of this energy. Okay. And I wonder, this ancestor, I'm getting another message. Did they move a lot when they were young? Did they move a lot around because of their issues with money? Because of the scarcity that they had to live through? I feel like they moved around a lot. That's what I'm hearing. Anyways, okay. Yeah, they moved around a lot for some reason. Anyways, I'll keep going. Then we have the Fool reversed. Yes, is a fear of risks in the future, especially when we're starting something new. It's also a warning not to take any big risks. So that's another piece of advice other than listen to your emotions, listen to where they take you and your intuition, right? But also, this is not a time to be taking any major risks, which I think most of you kind of already understand that, pile 2, especially when things have been kind of tough. You already know. I'm not going to take any big leaps right now, but this ancestor might be warning in the near future there could be a desire to take a risk, and they're saying, play it a little bit more on the safe side. Okay, that's one major thing they're trying to tell you here, especially when it comes to new ventures or new things. So some of you, I would be, those of you looking for a new job and you're searching, I'm hearing for you guys that you might feel a temptation to immediately rush into the first job offered to you because of the scarcity that you've been going through, which is very understandable. Totally, I don't blame you. I would probably do the same or be tempted to do the same. But that Fool reversed might be just a little nudge from this ancestor to say, hey, wait a minute. Before you run into this new job, just because it was the first thing that was offered, don't avoid be wary of risks. Okay, that's what I'll say. Same thing too, if it's like a house that you're trying to move to, you're trying to find a new place to live. Beware of risks. Don't let desperation push you into a worse situation. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that it's going to get like that much worse if you do choose the wrong thing or you do rush in, but there is some reason that this ancestor is pushing you, like, be careful about when you start new things here or go to new places. Don't rush. Deliberate. Be cautious. That's another really good piece of advice here I'm hearing from them. And then the last card here is beautiful. We have the Four of Wands piled too. Okay, as an outcome card today, I want to assure you, and so does your ancestor, this is literally the card of stability. This is literally the card, especially of happiness and stability in the home. I will tell you this, despite everything going on, your ancestor is saying you are on your way with what you're doing right now to the stability that you're looking for. This is very synchronous and resonant with what we've been seeing so far, because we went from, everything's kind of scarce, things are kind of shaky, we're not getting the resources we need, and then finally, at the very end here, here's the resources and the stability that we're looking for. It's also a card of celebrations sometimes too, so something to be celebrated here at the end of your path, at the end of your struggle. So I know it's been tough, and your ancestor is 100% sympathizing and 100%, talking about that here with the beginning of your cards. But then at the end here, they're saying, but the wait and the chaos will soon be over. You're well on your way to being there. Just don't take too many risks and be cautious on the way there, and you'll find yourself in a good place. Okay, so that's really boding well for people that are looking for the right home, for those of you that are trying to move or trying to sell a place, trying to sell a home too. It also bodes really well for those of you looking for a job stability, or even if it's not a home or a job specifically, in any way that this reading has been resonating with you, you're well on your way towards things being less chaotic again and calm and safe. But I'm trying to think, are there any other questions I want to ask for your reading today? If I were sitting in your position, what would I ask my ancestor? Or let me tap in with your ancestor and see if there's anything else they want to direct to you. 1 second. They're saying something about a ring or a watch. I know it's not a question file too, it kind of came out of the blue. They're pointing to a ring or a watch on their hand. Did you lose like a ring or a watch recently, or you got one recently? They're saying something about the ring or the watch. And then, let's see if there's anything else. 1 second. They're saying the last thing they want to do is to give you some more advice. So we'll pull 3 extra cards on advice from them, all right? Ancestor, what's your advice for them? Besides, don't rush in too fast. Be cautious. We have the 6 of Pentacles, which is about making sure that you were given fairness. Okay, which I think that might be related to that risk, and that why they were telling you to be cautious pile too, because if you run into the first thing offered to you, there might be an unfairness to you, especially in terms of stability or resources, because 6 of Pentacles is, a Pentacles coins card. Okay. Make sure you're treated fairly financially and with stability. Then they said with Judgment reversed. Leveling up in some way, needing to level up. I'm hearing dreaming big too. Let's see the 3rd card before I talk on that one, because that one is really dependent on what's around it. Then we have the Emperor reversed, which is structure. I wonder. Well, side message, I wonder if some of you have been dealing with judgment from your fathers. For those of you that are still like interacting with your fathers, or like your father is a prominent role in your life, Because, yeah, the Judgment card reversed next to an Emperor reversed is about maybe a father figure that's been kind of negative in their judgment of you. Your ancestor is saying, for those of you that resonates with, just know that, well, number one, you deserve to be treated more fairly than that with whoever this father figure is, like. And number two, they're saying that father figure needs to be fairer with you. Okay, that's the first message. And then also, especially next to Judgment reversed. One second. Oh, they're saying tangible advice to level up your planning and your structure. I'm going to ask one more card on that. What do you mean about planning and structure, ancestor? Thank you. Level up your planning and your structure with strength. Another major arcana. Look at that. Strength reversed. Oh, I think you're getting disheartened, pile 2, which is, number one, very understandable, but number two, they're saying don't lose your willpower or your strength to keep pushing for something better. To keep pushing for something that would be a level up. Oh, I wonder if that's why the Fool reversed came out too, because like I said, you might be tempted to jump in the first thing offered to you, but they're saying make sure to wait until you're treated fairly or something is fair to you, financially especially. It's like they're saying don't do that because, or don't rush in without caution because like just because you're losing the willpower or the hope or the faith in that something better is, I don't know, something better is out there. I don't know, I think you've just been losing faith recently, pile 2, in something good coming along. And so because you have that problem right now, it's like when something does come along, you might rush in really fast because you think, well, that's the best I'm going to get. And that's why Dream Big came out when I first was looking at the Judgment card, because your ancestor is saying to dream bigger than that. And that's why they're saying with the Emperor and the planning and the Strength card reversed, it's like, don't lose your willpower to believe in the dream that you have planned for. Okay? You can make it tangible. It's not something that's ephemeral and nebulous and out of reach. They're saying that is very possible for you. So don't just beg for scraps, they're saying, and don't take what scraps other people give you. Demand a full meal is the full channeled sentence they're saying here. So don't take scraps, demand a full meal is what they're saying, okay? So, yes. Don't be afraid to wrestle out of life and other people things that you are fairly, owed, is another part of their message. So that was your message today, pile number 2. Sorry I paused a little bit here and there, but there were a lot of channel things coming through, and I was like, I gotta make sure I say this exactly the way the ancestor wanted to depict it. Okay, so yes, I hope that reading helped you. I hope that you liked it and that it resonated. And if so, please like, please comment, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one, because I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of your engagement and hearing your feedback and everything down in the comments below. So yes, thank you if you choose to do so. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, and I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, pile number 3. Welcome to your ancestor message for today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Never a Crowd on the Leading Edge, or number 29 with the subtitle, Honor Those Who Honor You. So, first intuitive sense is, I think this ancestor based on this card is someone who kind of walked to the beat of their own drum. They come off to me as someone that was perhaps a bit unique in their fashion, or there was something about their lifestyle that was off the beaten track. Maybe even, I'm getting a sense they were perhaps maybe slightly secretive about this part of their life. If you recognize them in this life that you're living right now, I think, of course, that was maybe shared with immediate family, and so that passed down to you, and, like, you know about it. But at the same time, it's like, it wasn't something they just, like, readily shared with everybody. I don't know. And I feel like it's something they did at night for some reason. And this particular ancestor is also saying, oh, they're like me. So I think a lot of who you are in this life, pile 3, is you're very similar to and share a lot of qualities with this particular ancestor. And of course, the whole meaning of the never a crowd on the leading edge means when people are doing something new, when something are people doing, I can't talk today. When people are doing things that are on the cutting edge, usually it's pretty lonely. So I wonder if recently in your life you have been trying to do something that is a bit out of the ordinary, a little bit new, maybe something that your family or ancestors haven't really done before, or maybe it's this particular ancestor, you're trying to revive something that they did, but like your other family members necessarily haven't touched it in a long time just because, life got in the way or they didn't have the personal interest. Or even if it's not related to an ancestor, it's like, I don't know, it could just be something totally new for you in terms of your life path. And I think that's part of why they want to reach out to you today, because this ancestor did things that were so new and out of the ordinary in their own life that they feel a kinship with you in this thing that you're trying to do. So let's keep getting some messages here. We have the 6 of Swords from the Pastoral Tarot. And this card is about moving on to greener pastures. It can literally be about a physical move. Maybe you're trying to move somewhere nobody else in your family has ever moved before. And it can also represent a journey mentally in terms of a move where recently you've been thinking about life in much different ways than the normal. Maybe that's part of why you were drawn to this new path or this new thing that you're trying to achieve, because you realized that where you were and what you were doing wasn't necessarily aligned with what you actually wanted or with this new perception or view of life that you had before. I'd be very not shocked if you got, like, say, the Hanged Man in your tarot cards today, because that's sort of the energy I'm hearing so far. Not just because of, this ancestor was kind of a martyr themselves in a way, and maybe at this point in life you're feeling very similar, because the Hangman can represent a martyr, but also at the same time, the Hangman represents different perspectives, seeing things in different ways, and so I think you went through a Hangman moment recently. And so that's why the 6 of Swords represents, okay, now I'm going to live life in this way. I'm going to move on either literally or to, mental greener pastures. So could also mean if it's not a house move, it can mean, say a new job, new career, new goal that you have that you didn't have before. And then from the Gravity Falls deck today, we have Gracie's Diner with retro, sustenance, and repurpose. Speaking of doing something maybe your ancestor did, but no one else touched yet. Kind of makes me think that's a bit of a synchronous message there, repeating kind of what I was picking up on intuitively, which is always a good sign. And as I always say when I use pop culture decks like this Gravity Falls one, if you don't get the references, that's totally okay. I'll explain what it means in terms of your reading. And Gracie's Diner, of course, kind of like it says on the tin, is a restaurant. So I wonder if some of you are maybe thinking about opening a restaurant or a cafe or something to do with food. And it was repurposed out of an old train car and an old log. So it could also mean you're trying to do something in a vintage way, even if it's not necessarily a restaurant. Maybe it's something to do with antiques, or maybe literally trains or something like that, or repurposing wood too, because it is made out of a log. Doing something retro, doing something the old way, and relating to sustaining oneself or sustenance in general. Let's keep going with the second card. Then we have the character Mabel. She represents at least boundless imagination, romance, and being energetic. She's also incredibly creative. She's incredibly offbeat and out of the ordinary. So once again, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but there's so much that's kind of adding up here. I wonder if this ancestor kind of was like this character too. Maybe you are as well. I don't know if maybe they tended to knit a lot, or you do, because this character does as well. Very creative, very artistic, romantic, very excitable. And I think too, I'm getting the sense intuitively that this new idea of yours made you extremely excited, because literally the character's eating, well, it's called Fun Dip, but it's it makes them very hyper, and it's kind of gives them, I don't know, literally it kind of puts them on, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, a trippy trip, we'll put it that way. And so I think what I'm trying to say by mentioning that is this new idea of yours I don't know, yeah, out of the ordinary, and it's making you so excited that I know I'm just getting off of you, pile 3. There's a lot of energy behind this idea. Like, you're just so excited and, like, drawn towards it and passionate and creative about it. Let's keep going. Then we have, the Lantern Oracle's card on the box, literally. Strength of Vulnerability, number 4. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. So I think first part of your message from your ancestor, at least in terms of advice today on this new goal of yours, pile 3, is there's something that you are currently perceiving as a weakness within yourself that is actually a strength and or a part of this new idea you have, especially I'm hearing if it's related to, say, a new business. The strength in what you're doing relies on finding what is a weakness that you pay attention to strengthen and, like, make sure that it is no longer weak. I know it's kind of vague. Let me try to think of a good example. So, like, tangibly, say it is a business you're trying to open or figure out how to plan, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, how do I make it stand out in a way? Because, so many people have already done, say a coffee shop or have already, say, opened a restaurant or whatever. And you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I get that? How do I really stand out? And so your ancestor is saying here, pay attention to what are the weaknesses typical in other restaurants or in other businesses, whatever your particular industry is that you're looking into. Take a look at their weaknesses, and that is where you're going to find the strength for your own business or whatever this goal might be, even if it's not a business, is doing something differently in a way that targets a weakness that your solution or your goal or your business, whatever it might be, make sure that that's no longer a weakness with your model or the way that you're doing it, okay? So also, too, I think it might also stem from something that was a weakness or that you at least perceived was a weakness within yourself. Like, I don't know, some of you, it might be a business, not so much in terms of an actual, like, big, say a restaurant. It might be one in terms of, like, you starting, like, life coaching or, like, being a therapist, in that you're helping people to, in a way that you once felt weak, to make them feel strong like you do now. It's almost kind of mentorship vibes on top of that in terms of helping people emotionally overcome what they perceive as their own weaknesses. So lots of really cool energy here. I really like this pile today. It's kind of exciting. Yeah, let's keep going. We'll look at your tarot cards from this ancestor. I mean, your ancestor is saying go for it. Of course, they'll have some advice, I think, too, but first tarot card today is the Lovers, which is about, well, sometimes, as it says on the tin, a romantic relationship, but everything so far makes me think this card is more in the interpretation of it being around a choice between something worse or something better. So once again, makes me think of that business idea. Make sure that you're the better option by doing something that's a weakness or fixes a weakness within other people in the industry's businesses. It can also mean to harmony in relationships, being in harmony. Interesting. Let's see what your next card is. That one kind of threw me for a loop. But, we have the 10 of Cups reversed, which is like another relation. Pile 3, were some of you recently out of a relationship and that's kind of what spurred you into doing this new thing? Because I wonder if some of you left a relationship and it opened up so much energy and time for you that you didn't have before. And maybe that was part of why you had this new perspective too, and you wanted to move somewhere new, either like literally or like in terms of your career and your goals, because this was no longer your goal. Because the Lovers is an inciting incident, can mean a relationship, and then the 10 of Cups reversed right after it can mean that this relationship broke up. That, or if it's not a romantic relationship per se, pile 3, it could also mean this was a broken relationship with, say, your old career, or a broken relationship with your old job. It was something there that was no longer in harmony that had been at first. And then, that 10 of Cups reversed energy is literally harmony breaks. It's not the happily ever after we thought it was. And that was kind of the catalyst, or like the inciting incident, to use a storytelling term, that spurred you on to this new adventure, I think. So a lot of this is actually, I think your ancestor is saying this came from a pain of some sort, or because you felt this void in your life after that thing ended and after you felt that disharmony, and you're like, well, what do I fill it with? Because that's the beauty of when things end in our lives. Like, yes, it can be really sad at the time and it can be heartbreaking, It can crush us. But when things sweep out, it makes for a lot more new room for better things to come along. And I think that's what you found. Because I see you just kind of sitting on a beach and you're looking around and you're like, well, now this is kind of empty. Whereas before it was like the tide had come in, there was all this water, it was like things to look at, things to do. And you were all kind of occupied with that. And it's like the wave receded and now you're just surrounded by this blank sand and this blank canvas. And you're like, what do I do with this blank canvas that I have now? What do I do with all this? What do I fill this with? Okay. So that's the energy I'm feeling like leading up to this thing that you were doing or you decided to do. Okay. And then your Heart of the Matter card is the Four of Wands reversed. Once again, can mean maybe we broke a relationship because it's a married couple. Yeah, a lot of you, I think there was a relationship that fell apart that you had to leave. And so that's really what spurred you on. As I said, could be romantic, could be related to a job as well. Could also be a breaking of a relationship with your home. Because not only do we have the Six of Swords, which can mean literally moving, but the Four of Wands reversed can mean that there is disharmony within a home, because it's, by the numerology of 4, a card about stability, okay? It can also mean reversed because it's the Fire card being Wands. It is a lack of stability with our ambitions. We felt like that was no longer our ambition anymore. We want to go in this particular direction. Or it's like you got there, but with the first thing that you fell out of love with, or, left your life, and you got there and it didn't really feel as celebratory as you thought you wanted it to be. So you're like, I'm not really fulfilled by this anymore. I'm not really thinking that this is the place for me to be. And the beauty of it is that discontent was the exact spark for the fire for this thing that you're trying to do now. So your ancestor is saying, number one, yes, of course, feel your feelings. Don't necessarily stuff them down, but also don't ponder over or mire too much in the sadness of what you let go of to get here, because that's exactly what needed to be let go of in terms of time in your life to make room for all this new thing or new stuff that you're going to do and this new goal that you have in mind. Okay, let's keep going here. We're going to the near future plus your advice cards. We have, the Wheel of Fortune is a really good sign, pile 3. I think your ancestor is saying, number 1, that is the card of fate and destiny, which means this was very fated for you. Don't second guess this path for yourself. This was part of your life plan, at least in terms of the way I believe in life plans with spirituality and what I'm hearing from your ancestor too. This is very much fated for you. You're supposed to do this, okay? So don't doubt this path. That's their number 1 piece of advice, other than, let go of regret. And number 2, it also really means, and this is the most exciting part, pile 3, it's a successful venture. You have a very good idea. You have a very good goal in mind. I think you're going to be successful with whatever this is you're trying to do, be it restaurant or, new career, whatever it is. Okay. Very fortunate future here for you based on this. And then we have the 8 of Wands as the outcome. Wonderful. That is the card of things happening quickly, seemingly from out of nowhere, like fire raining from the sky. Okay. I think it's going to take on faster than you think it will. Pile 3. Because the Wheel of Fortune next to the 8 of Wands as an outcome is something happening that's good, that's really quick. So I think it's not so much advice yet. I think I will pull advice cards for you too, but your ancestor is just kind of encouraging you even more. Please go in this direction, because they're saying look at the bounty and the abundance and success that will be waiting for you on the other side of this. I think, and I'm hearing from your ancestor too, you have a really, really good idea. Okay, and it would be a tragedy almost to not follow that direction. You got that idea for a reason, pile 3. You were given that blank canvas and that time to think about it for a reason. So they're saying, don't be afraid to follow it, because it'll lead somewhere, based on those cards, very, very good. Very successful, okay? Let's ask that advice, though. Ancestor of pile 3, though, do you have any advice for them on this venture? Because maybe they were asking for that recently. They were asking for a sign of, should I go with this, or what advice do you have, etc. We have, let's see, the 2 of Wands reversed. Okay, plan. Plan. That's their number 1 piece of advice, because the 2 of Wands reversed can mean that we haven't planned for something yet. I think pile 3, most of you, you've been kind of mired so much in the dreaming part of this. I wouldn't be shocked if, say, like the 7 of Cups comes out next. It's kind of that energy where it's that feeling of, we've been dreaming about it, but we haven't necessarily put the plans into place. And 2, this is the Roman god Janus. I said this to another pile today. They literally got the same card. And the Roman god Janus is the the god that named, or the month January was named after. So I wonder if you thought of this idea in January, or this big event that you left behind, and you found this new direction because of this thing that happened. It was in January when it occurred, or the breakup if it was a relationship, or losing a job, etc., leaving a job. And 2, I almost wonder if it might mean that January of the next year, when you're watching this, is a really good time for you to start something or to plan for that. So keep that in mind with the month of January. And then we have the Queen of Swords reversed, which I apologize, a hair repetitive, but as an advice card, she can mean that you need to make sure that you have everything logically planned out on the inside, okay, internally. Like, you're logically, like, I know with this new business idea or whatever it is, like, if this happens, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have this idea of, here's the risks that can happen with this thing. What are my backups for those particular risks? Or how am I going to mitigate those risks, I guess is probably a better way to put that. She's a logical planner. She's a tactician. She gives you advice to make sure that everything is completely planned out A to Z before you embark on this new journey or this new thing. All right, so we have 2 cards that are a bit about maybe get more to the planning stages of things. Don't necessarily wait in the dream stage for too long. All right, because there is those good things coming from it. So the faster you get there, the faster that Wheel of Fortune comes forward, okay? Especially, too, with the 8 of Wands, which is the card of things happening, quicker. So then we have your last piece of advice, the 2 of Cups. Pile 3. Funny, because we had 2 relationship cards with the Lovers and the 10 of Cups reversed earlier, and now we have the 3rd relationship card in tarot, which is the 2 of Cups. So I almost wonder, if this is a business idea, some of you might have a really good time maybe involving like a partner of some sort, or getting into business with a partner, or at least planning for a way that you could include partners in the future. All right. It can also mean, too, in terms of advice, like, say it's not a business, like you're just looking for like a new job, or it's like a new career in general, to really make sure that where you land, you vet it for the way that it is in harmony with your plans, being next to the Queen of Swords reversed. Okay, so don't necessarily jump into things really fast just because you're like, well, that matches with what I want to do, I'll just jump into that. Make sure 100% that it aligns with what you have planned for and is in harmony with that before you take that next step, all right? It can also mean, pile 3, I'm hearing, for those of you especially that have just gotten out of a relationship, and that's part of what spurred this all on, especially romantic, right? I should say specifically romantic, you might have another relationship waiting because of this. I think part of this direction for you is not just a new direction towards, a business goal, career, etc. It might also be a change of direction towards a better partner, okay? Because that's what the 2 of Cups means, is someone who is in harmony with you most of the time if it's taken in a relationship context, okay? So just keep that in mind. Yeah, but in general, I mean, really, just to summarize, your ancestor is assuring you today. They're just saying, you know what, pile 3, this is a really good idea. They appreciate you going off the path of, the well-worn journey most other people go on. They're commending you for walking to the beat of your own drum, just as they did when they were alive. They're very proud of you for that. They're like, oh yes, they're doing something new. That's good. They're not just doing what everybody else tells them to. They're following their own path. And just be aware, there might be, especially for those of you that left a relationship, there might be a really good one waiting on the other side. Now, sometimes that can mean a friendship, because I believe technically in this depiction, is it Gilgamesh and is it Enki? I can't remember exactly the other mythological figure's name, but I think one of them for sure is Gilgamesh. They were best friends, okay? So it might not be necessarily romantic partnership. It could also be just that you'll find a harmonious relationship in terms of like a best friend for life out of this direction that you're going in. But it can technically, as a 2 of Cups, traditionally mean a romantic relationship too. So just, I don't know, it could be friends to lovers too. You never know. Maybe that's kind of how it goes. Someone in the industry or someone that you find along the way, which is interesting because even when you look at your 6 of Swords, it's kind of 2 people that are going in the same direction here on the same boat. Like they're both moving somewhere new or doing something new connected with the energy of the Six of Swords. Now it's interesting though, because one of the figures is going in reverse. So I wonder if it's new for you, but for them, they might be doing what you're doing, but in a way that it's like a return to something they did before, whereas to you it's completely new. So they might also play a bit of a mentor role to you, pile 3, in terms of them it's old hat to them. They've done it before, so they'll mentor you a little bit. And I think, especially in a romantic sense, that might be where that spark starts, is a friends to lovers, or, you know, a bit of a mentor to lovers, perhaps mentor student to lovers. Okay, if you're looking for a relationship, of course. But yes, beautiful. Lots of success coming your way. So lean into that excitement. Lean into walking the offbeat path. Lean into this idea, and remember to lean into your vulnerability too, or lean into a vulnerability to fulfill. That's the last piece of advice, okay? So that was your ancestor message today at pile 3. I hope it helped you. Number 1, that's my main concern. I hope you liked it, you felt that it resonated too, and if so, please like and comment and subscribe. Thank you so much. If you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one, I am eternally grateful for all of you and your engagement and hearing back from you, and every little bit helps the channel quite a bit. So thank you so much if you choose to do those things. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, pile 3.